The greatest problem we have on this continent is the deficit of imagination. We focus too much on feeding the belly, on the politics of the belly. We don't focus enough on the poetics of the belly, because sometimes it's a poetry that allows us to wake up the following day and say yes to existence. When I moved to Nigeria as an academic, there are all these interesting African writers being published abroad, and they're not available locally, no one's heard of them. So I decided, okay, I'm going to set up a publishing company, Cassava Public Press. I knew nothing about publishing. I knew everything about reading and writing, but nothing about the business of publishing. 150 million people, 77 million of them young people under 30. How do we get those people reading? Those are the people I'm actually interested in converting. We want to convert minds. We want to convert them to begin to question who they are, but also question the society, because what our government need, they need us to ask them questions, and we don't. They get away with what they get away with, not because they're bad leaders, but because we as citizens don't ask them sufficient questions and make demands on them.
Today, I begin a diary to say all the things I want to say to myself, because here in prison, there is no one to listen. Prison chains not so much of your hands and feet as it does your voice.
Creative writing gives you access to people's interior world. And in a society where we don't have a public discourse around different kinds of issues, whether it's the emotions, whether it's issues around addiction, issues around emotional pain, depression, sometimes literature is a way in which you can begin to access those kinds of experiences that ordinarily we don't discuss publicly.
That Bolanle is a troublemaker, she said. She will destroy our home. She will expose our private parts to the wind. She locked her fingers over the dome of her head. We must do something, quickly.
We're a nation of storytellers, and we are surrounded by storytellers. Every time we switch on to the BBC, they're telling us a story. CNN, they're telling us a story about a particular world, okay? And I'm interested in a particular kind of story about Africa, about Nigeria. I'm interested in daily life on the continent.
One morning, a child comes into the broad corridor of the house and greets me. I am shaving, unprepared for a guest. The child calls me by name and tells me who she is. We have never laid eyes on each other, but we recognized each other immediately. First cousins. She was born after I left home, and until this moment, we have only been rumors to each other. But so quickly do we get to know each other that soon I cannot even remember a time when I didn't know her.
We really think seriously about our covers, because ultimately, when you produce object of beauty, people will gravitate towards beauty in the same way that the children gravitate towards our children's books. By providing books to young children, you are opening them up. People have often said to us, why have you gone into producing full-color children's books? Because they're expensive to produce. Most children's books here are in black and white. And I say to them, you know something? There's a world of black and white ahead of them waiting. Let children experience full color, because black and white is going to come.
Granny led Mayowa to a garden. See, Elisha is very quiet now. I feel sleepy. He yawned. Look at those birds, Granny said. They are getting ready to go to sleep. See.
For Cassava, I want it to be a Pan-African organization. My first constituents, my first market is Africa. It's not enough that we just consume. More Africans must own the means of production, especially intellectual production. In any society, you also need to see yourself reflected in what you're consuming, whether it's in images, whether it's on TV, whether it's in music, whether it's in literature, whether it's in the art gallery, in the museums. Our identities are fractured. And for me, I don't care what anyone says. culture is central to what we do in the economic arena, what we do in the political arena. The culture is the kind of the foundational narrative.